You're welcome back. It is still the AM Weekend Show. We're going to be having our first conversation. And like I said earlier, we're going to be looking into the labor market. A lot seems to be going on in the labor market. We have employers who are demanding for labor that is quite higher than what they are willing to pay for. And then we have the employees or the prospective employees, the job searchers who are not willing to do a lot. There's been a lot of conflict here and there regarding employability of people, especially youths currently in the Southeast and in Nigeria as a whole. So we're going to be looking into that issue, and joining us to have this conversation is Mrs. Temitayo Esther Ken-Braimoh, the lead HR at Flexible HR and Training and Jobs Limited. Welcome. I hope I got that right.
Yeah, you did. Thank you very
Welcome
much.
to the show,
Good morning, everyone. Thank
you look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you too. Okay, so I think we'll just get right into it. Let me just start with this particular story. I was scrolling on social media and I saw this job advert, and the person said they wanted, it's for domestic staff. The person wanted a house help who knows how to cook very, very well and who is also going to clean. And that person is going to work from Mondays to Saturdays from 8 o'clock to 6 to 7 p.m. And the salary is 40,000 naira. So, the advert was put out there, and you know how some people would do that. Normally, when it's put out there, people would come and say, oh, I want to apply. How can I apply? But this particular one was put up there, and it got a lot of negative comments. And in fact, it was a mixed reaction thing, but there were more of negative comments. And people were responding saying, you want 3 different jobs in one, and you want to pay the person for just one, which is 40,000 naira. It is not even up to the minimum wage. And then there were other people saying that this is how it is done. No, it's if you want, you apply. If you don't want, you don't apply. And whenever such a thing happens, the person who posted might come back and say, see, I posted it and I got a person. After all the talking that people were talking, I still got someone to do the job. So exactly what is the problem with employers? Why do they do these things that they do? Let's start there.
It's funny you started with a domestic staff as your example, because we should even look into the fact that some persons are graduate.
I mean, that's
and they will still be offered that same amount,
or even lower.
Yeah, for a more sophisticated job role. Do you understand? So that's the environment we're living in, and the factors surrounding it there a lot. Because like the one you mentioned, this is an employer that knows that unemployment is rampant out there. So if A doesn't want, B would. If B doesn't want, C would. Because there's always someone that will take that job. Because the country is in balance as it stands. So you just need to look at it from different angles. Unfortunately, we're in that environment where people kind of don't have a choice. So someone that hasn't gotten 3 square meals wouldn't mind that this person is going to be, I'm going to have accommodation, probably. Okay, this one is supposed to be a 9 to 6, I think, from what you said. So the person will be like, okay, maybe I should do this for a while. And because that pattern has been in place and it has always been filled, you would always get someone to do the job, it continues. So the realities that we're faced with in Nigeria today is the fact that the economic system is not friendly at all. And this is just a domestic staff. When you look into the graduate system, someone that has gone to school, gone through the hustles of the university and all of that, and then you finish and you come out and there's nothing to do. And someone is offering you a job of 50,000 naira, So you look at it and you say, a lot of times the unemployment in our country is, you see it more, it's more pronounced with graduates. Because they'll be like, I would die, come low to do this job. Meanwhile, I have XYZ qualification, and then they wouldn't want to do it. So the people that probably that not postgraduate and post-secondary school category of unemployed, they get more jobs because they will be like, just like the domestic staff you talked about. They're willing to do it because they need to feed, they need to make ends meet. So they would they would just say, okay, no problem, it's for a while, and they do it, I once recently had help, and I was asking her, do you want to go back to school, or do you want to say, no, me, I want gather money, do business. I say, business? You don't want to even finish secondary school? She said, no, she's not interested in that. Her own is to gather money, do business. So with that mentality of make I gather money, do business, say, okay, let me take this little one, let me take this little one. Meanwhile, the cost of living would not even allow you to save. So that's the reality we're faced with in Nigeria today.
Okay, so are we saying clearly now that, because you mentioned 2 points now, the reality of Nigeria and also the fact that employers are aware that there are no jobs. So is it justifiable to say that for most employers, I'm using most now, is it justifiable to say that for most employers, the problem may not necessarily be the economy, it's just the awareness that, well, I'm giving a job out there, so anybody should be able to take the job?
It goes beyond that, actually. It's beyond that. There are other factors. Some employers don't really have the funds to be able to meet up with the minimum wage. Businesses are struggling. We've seen a lot of businesses that started and had to fold. Some, even international standards, they couldn't meet up because of the state of the country, so they had to fold. So some people sincerely cannot afford to make profits and pay that large amount, to be fair to them. But some others, irrespective of the fact that they know they're making money, they take advantage of that Nigerian factor and they exploit people irrespective. So it's both ways, yeah.
Now let's move a little bit higher. When it comes to a normal organization, we've seen situations where somebody is employed. Maybe the style or the house style of the organization is that in 2 years, your work or your KPI has to be reviewed. Then you can have opportunity for promotion and all that.
Yeah.
Then you see someone work so hard, do every single thing, and even take on extra responsibilities. And at the end of the day, they are not being reviewed, and they can stay in the same company for over 6 years without any salary increment or any promotion. Why is it? Is it supposed to be that way? And why do we always see that in Nigerian organizations most of the times?
Yeah, it's common, quite all right. So one other thing we should be aware of is in the labor market today, more than 80% of the employers are not exactly structured organizations. So you're not like the banks, we could give them the exception and all the other official settings. And you're in a place like Southeast, you and I know that we are more or less entrepreneurs and one-man business owned and all. So the man runs the show. If he decides today that there was someone I got an employment for recently. It's a marketing manager role. And do you know this guy worked? After a month, the man said he's not interested, the guy should go. And he didn't pay him.
After a month?
For the After a month. So this guy kept calling me and complaining, madam, see, I spent almost everything. It's 100,000 naira. That's his salary. This man did not pay him. Do you know, it took the guy, like after a month, his wife calling the man with a different number, making complaints, and before the man now finally. And this is just the reality that we faced with, So you agreed that you would pay this person. Okay, the person is not delivering, no problem. Ideally, someone should have XYZ number of months or weeks or whatever probation period. And if you say you don't want, fine, do the needful, do your own part. But it's either the employers don't have that credibility or integrity to be able to stick to what they have said because of the way they run their businesses, or better still, you're looking at a very informal setting, a business that is not structured. So that is very common with businesses like that. So you see people say XYZ and after a while they're changing their minds because they don't really have a standard that they follow.
Exactly.
I have my background in a very structured organization where I started doing and fell into HR, and it was a multinational, and if this is in place, it ought to be like that. XYZ needs to be followed. If you're a management staff, you have your salary reviewed on a yearly basis. If you're a junior staff, we had the union then, which most Nigerian organizations don't even follow. So if you're a union staff, the union have the negotiations every 2 years. And because it's a structured organization, you everything is reviewed: your salary, your transport, your blah blah blah. A few other benefits are certain, you know. But in a Nigerian, so after leaving the organization, I did a few HR audits with a few local businesses, and the difference is so clear. Oga can wake up tomorrow and say this is the way the business is going to go, and that's the way it's going to go. So that's because one reason is they don't really have, there isn't a lot of law enforcement when it comes to labor laws and all of that within the Nigerian space. And they're not going to start with themselves. They know that before I started my business, this thing has been like this. Why is it going to be me?
Yeah.
You know, the person starting tomorrow might even be worse than I am. So I'm even trying. A lot of them will feel like, okay, they're even trying with what they're doing. So that pattern is very common with unstructured businesses, informal settings, you know, and people that are not exactly accountable to one body or the other. Like I said, where I have my background, it's an international body, so they're always very careful to be compliant because they don't want the Nigerian government. Of course, they are going to, those ones, they have their eyes. Sure, when you see the way the government, you know, check and balance everything we do, you know that they're very interested in, and you know how they want to even exploit them. So they try as much as possible to ensure things are in place. But for the Nigerian man who is in his space, he doesn't think the same, except for a few really structured organizations that, you know, keep to their word. So that's why we have those kind of, you know, patterns going on in Nigeria.
Now I'd like to know something, because I sort of see your role as a HR as a middleman role between the employers and the employee.
Yeah.
So as an independent HR now, I'd love to know, what exactly would you say would be your boundary? You gave an example now. You said you helped someone to secure a job and the guy did not pay, the man did not pay. So he started calling you. So I'm wondering and you also train people. You also train people to become HR. Do you, while you interface with the employers and the employee, do you make any efforts is it your duty, in fact, to maybe educate the employee more or the employer more on whomever you are bringing to whichever one of them?
Yeah, like as a middle person in all of this, you need to try to strike a balance. That's why I say sometimes you see employers that, you know, sincerely can't afford to do more. And there are times you see that I will tell you, this role you want me to recruit for you, I know you can pay better.
Okay.
You know, I can be negotiating and talking to the employer even before I put the word out there. Because sometimes you see someone wants an admin manager that is going to carry the burden of an HR, of an account officer, of this, you know. And even me, myself, when I put it out there, people are like, only one person, how much? You know, you get those comments. I get it, and I think I've developed this skin already for it because of the environment I'm in. But I talk to them and I'll be like, okay, don't you think you can do better? Some will be like, okay, let's see the person's performance. Let's see what they can do. They will give you valid reasons. Okay, let me see if this person is worth the pay. If after 3 months, like I say, some people have probation period, if after 3 months the person can deliver on the job, I'm willing to up the salary. So that's why employers need to also carry that burden of upscaling themselves, of being valuable. Because sincerely, nobody wants to pay someone that they don't get value from. Even if you go to the market today, you want value for your money. So it's the same thing with the employers. They want value for the money that they're giving out there. So if at the end of the day, and with social media and information everywhere, some people can just come and ace your interview and all, and by the time you start working with them, that's when you will know if they're really worth it or not. If they're really what they said they are. You know, there is a limit to what you can discern when you have that one-on-one interview with, you know, with people.
True.
So there is a need to also do that probation period and see. So for those employers that are really sincere, they will take care of that stuff. They would build on that stuff. Then for, like, I think I have cut across both sides. For some employees, they're not exactly what they pay.
I was really waiting for us to get into
Sincerely, they're not exactly what they pay. You know? So that's where you need to strike a balance. You see something that is not right, you try to understand, okay, is there a possibility for this person Can it be better? What's your plan? And if they say, okay, this is, like I said, the other person will say, okay, let's see. In short, this particular person, there was this role he filled, and he downgraded the girl after 3 months. He said he wanted to let her go, but then he said to give her another chance and brought her to a lower role because he felt she couldn't handle that particular role that he was trying to employ for.
Okay.
So you just need to keep, negotiating, striking a balance, as train some people to meet up with the gap. That's why, like, we do trainings, employability trainings, to make you hit the ground running when you join an organization, because so many times in our institutions today, not everything is taught. You and I know that not everything is taught. As a matter of fact, someone that didn't go to the four walls of the university, that sits down in the university of Facebook, Instagram, and all of that, might even be more knowledgeable and valuable than someone that went to the four walls of the university in our world today. So that's what we're faced with. So it's left, the burden or the onus is on the person, that's employee, to be able to upskill and be intentional about their own value that they give out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that we're talking about skills, and you said that some employees are not actually worth the pay. As a HR, what are the skill gaps you've seen in young applicants these days? What are they people that you can say that are totally unemployable?
Yeah. You'd be surprised someone went to the four walls of a university and the person can't communicate normally. Communication cuts across verbal, oral, and for me, body language. I actually do a lot of virtual interviews. So there's this interview with one of my bosses in 2023, we're trying to get someone for a young commissioner. I'm just putting it out there, like, just to give you an idea of the person we're trying to get for. And we're having your schedule for an interview, and we're on the other side of the screen. And I'm looking at you, you're lying on your couch. Good morning. Like, seriously? That's a zero.
Thank you for having video call.
like you're having a video call with your friend and you're up for an interview, for heaven's sakes. Body language matters. So that's the person that don't go and beat the young commissioner in the office now. So that's just a practical example. So it's communication, networking skills. There are so many soft skills that you see that people lack. And sincerely, those are not taught in the four walls of work. But I believe people are becoming more aware. Lately, I receive CVs and obviously people have a few extra trainings, and you can almost relate it with the way you see them when you communicate with them, and you say, okay, this one is okay. But there is still a gap there. A lot of people need to be aware. A lot of people need to upskill and learn these soft skills we're talking about. It cuts across teamwork, collaboration, things like that. So when you ask them, specific questions, just try to discern, and their responses will just let you know that this is a no-no, this person can't work as a team and things like that. So that's just a little of what we see, alongside the fact that we're in an era where AI is everything.
Yeah.
Where, in short, if you really want to be employable, you need to know something related to IT. So people need to also upskill in that area. So many people this time and age will tell you they can't use Excel, they can't use Microsoft basic office suites, and you're like, you're in Nigeria. Even a small child in anywhere will be able to do that. So why wouldn't you be able to, draft a document easily or something? And you'll be wondering why that gap is still there, as common as that is, not to talk of when you talk about advanced, IT, blah, blah. So that's just it. So.
Okay. You wanted to say something?
No, you can continue.
Okay, so we've also seen situations of employers employing people, and after a while, the person that was employed will just disappear. I've seen that happen countless. I don't even know how that is a thing. Because before you walked into the job, you probably had a negotiation. You knew how much they were going to pay you and all of that. So I don't know who exactly is to blame. Is it the employer, your expression? Is it the employer or the employee?
I would solely blame the employee, sincerely.
Okay.
There are times where maybe what was ordered is not what is being delivered, and you would not blame the employee. But in a lot of cases, right, the situation is the employee. maybe I'm trying to fill a role that needs you to resume immediately. There's one I'm on now. I even had some interviews yesterday. And I was talking with the person, and you ask them, can you start immediately? They'll tell you yes. Some persons will tell you outrightly that I have a contract with the organization I'm working with now. I'm expected to give 2 weeks notice. I'm expected to give a month notice. Those are people that have integrity, that understand.
Okay.
But sometimes some people are desperate because maybe what they're paying you in that organization is peanuts, and maybe what you're going to is a lot more, and you don't mind. I can just let go and burn the bridge. But it's not advisable, because so many times you might want a referral from where you're coming from. So if you burn that bridge, how do you go back to say, I need referral for XYZ? It might even be something very insignificant. You might not even expect. It might be an indirect referral. Maybe your boss bumped into someone that is maybe in an official setting. And I'll say, okay, this person actually works for me. Oh, this person, do you know that this person left my organization? And it just gives you a bad name.
Yes.
So employees should take it upon themselves to ensure that where they're living, they don't burn the bridge. They ensure they do things procedurally. They follow the right processes to, off board, whatever. If it is something that a lot of times it's because they feel like they're going to lose money. Like the organization I used to work with, the structured one I mentioned, it's game actually. So it's, if you're leaving, you're supposed to give a month's notice. Maybe senior staff, but junior staff maybe it's 2 weeks notice.
Okay.
There is a particular set of notice, like according to the Borolo, structured for the organization. So normally your salary will be stopped, your whatever will be calculated, then the next month you'll be paid. But a lot of times, because people don't want to wait that long before they get whatever is left, because they'll do the check and balance. Whatever you're owing the company is deducted, whatever the company is owing you is added. If you have a leave balance, that is added. Then your final pay is sent to you with your final pay slips and all of that. But then, because
they wouldn't want to wait.
I don't want to wait an extra month. They would rather just wait till payday. They receive their pay. One of my staff did that to me recently, domestic staff anyways. And I was really nice to her. I didn't expect it from her. And me knowing the kind of environment where I kept emphasizing, Mama Choma, if you want to, apologies for mentioning names, if you want to leave, let me know. I'm not going to stop you from leaving. I can't hold you down. But let me prepare. Let me get someone else. Let that transition be there. Don't leave that gap. So, she keeps telling me, no problem. She did not mention anything. The month she decided to leave, she even pressured me to pay her salary, but I didn't even expect, because she was, she had been good. And then I paid her. The next day, Madam did not show. The day after that, Madam did not show. You sure? The next day, she was still calling and giving excuses, blah, blah, blah. The day after that, there was no even response to my call. I said, okay. That's happened again. And I'm not surprised, because this is even an informal setting. This is someone that is not very educated and all. But you see educated people that understand the processes still do that. So in as much as the employers have their, contributions to that, some of them don't treat their staffs very well. And then they just feel like they're not even obligated to stick to any of your laws and all of that. Employees, if they have integrity, at least they would even give that notice. Even if they can't meet up with the 2 weeks, they'll be like, okay, this is what came up and I have to leave. So you don't burn that bridge, so tomorrow it doesn't haunt you.
All right. I think we'll wrap it up here. We'll call it a wrap. I think finally, just maybe in 1 minute, I'd love to know, both parties, the employers and the employee, do they at least know the legal or ethical limits to what they do? Or are they just acting out of, because you did well to explain that here in the Southeast, most people are entrepreneurs, so we don't really do a lot of formal things here. Like there aren't a lot of, what's the word you used again? Formal and systematically structured employment process. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm saying away from that reality, do people at least understand things, ethics? Or will we say that we're just doing things out of ignorance? I just want to know that.
Yeah. Like I said,
on a general note.
Generally, the environment, because of lack of enforcement, already gives the employers that flexibility to ignore. Excuse me. So you get a lot of organizations, they don't even pay healthcare or pension, which is a standard law in Nigeria for employers. Almost everybody should know that. But in spite of knowing that, they feel they can't afford it. So they would rather just cut it out, you know. So some of the laws are a lot more complex. Even me as an HR, when I hear them, I'll be like, are you serious?
Okay.
So how do we implement this? You want your employer to sack you because the man no go even agree here. What are you telling me? How do you expect me to do this to X, Y number of staffs? So some of these laws are not exactly, you know, they don't understand it. Neither do they even know about it. But the basics, a lot of the employers know about it and they just choose to ignore it because of the little enforcement Nigerian environment provides. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. I think this was an insightful session.
Yeah, it's balanced.
What do you think?
I think so too. We've been able to touch different areas of the workforce and it's interesting. Thank you.
Would you like to be an employer?
Someday, yes, of course.
Everybody wants to be an employer.
Be fair to
Please. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're well informed. We're well informed.
Yeah.
When I start my company, I will just tell, I'll tell Mrs. Temitayo here to recruit
To handle it.
Of course, that's the more reason I think you should reach out to her, reach out to Flexible HR Training and Jobs Limited. Do you have like a social media platform?
Yeah, we're on Facebook, majorly just Facebook. Yeah. And then there's a Gmail you can always reach out to us on.
Okay, Flexible HR.
Flexible HR TJ at gmail.com. And then there is also the Flexible HR Training and Jobs group on Facebook. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Up next on the AM Weekend Show is, I think we'll cross over to Ijoma at this point to find out how everything is going over there at Okmara Square. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.